So hello, everyone. Welcome to the American Mussar Weekly Gathering. This is actually a special one. It is the day before Erev Yom Kippur, the day before Kol Nidre. So I thought this would be a great chance to bring in a little bit of a Teshuva practice, which is often translated as repentance, but the Hebrew word means to turn. It's really turning away. It's not just about being sorry, it's about actually it's an exercise in personal transformation. How can I change myself so that I can show up better in the world? So let's all get comfortable. We'll do a short meditation to help us become fully present. So please relax in your seat and close your eyes and take in a deep breath through the nose and hold, and exhale through the mouth and hold. And again, inhale through the nose and hold, and exhale through the mouth and hold. And as thoughts come into your head, just observe them and then let them go, like watching a car move past on the road. Now is not the time for solving problems. Right now, all you need to do is inhale through the nose and hold, and exhale through the mouth and hold. And on your next inhale, say to yourself, Shema. And on the exhale, listen. Shema, listen. And Shema, we're listening deeply, without judgment, without offering advice. In Shema, we are listening with an open heart. Shema, listen. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. And welcome to Joanne and Wendy and Paul. And I think I said hi to Frank and Linda, but just in case, hello, welcome. Nice to see you all. Okay, well, so to begin our discussion today, I thought we would start with this idea of the choice point. It is the Hebrew word for this, for those of you who may have heard it, is called the Bahira point. But it's the idea that when we're aware and plugged into the world, there are sometimes when we're kind of right on the edge, we might pick the right thing, we might pick the wrong thing to do. And I love, and that kind of spot in the middle is sort of, it's like a boundary. And for some areas of our life, we may just always kind of just be in the habit of doing the wrong thing. And in other areas, we may be in the habit of just doing the right thing. But that spot along the middle, that's kind of where there's the choice point where it could go either way. May I have someone unmute and read this quote from Deuteronomy, please?
I am setting before you today a blessing and a curse. Deuteronomy 11:26.
Thank you, Joanne. Okay, so I want to know kind of how does this idea of the blessing and curse relate to the choice point? What does this, in what ways does this teaching speak to you or not speak to you? Yes, Shelley. I think you turned off your camera when you meant to unmute.
Unmute. There we go. Figured
Okay.
that out.
Camera back.
Uh, I don't know. You don't get to see me, and that's okay. You're just supposed to look at the lovely picture, I guess. Um,
Okay.
so when I think of that moment when we choose something, and really we often have that a million times in our day. Some are big choices, some are small choices. And I think when we choose the correct choice, where we know we're giving joy and we're in love, it's a different feeling. And I think the reason why we go the opposite sometimes is because we all have traumas that triggers. And so we sometimes have that little bit of shame. And I think that's where that second bit of chaos comes in and the curse comes in. And I think it's just so beautiful to think that that was written down the way it is, saying that, hey, every moment of your day, I'm giving you a blessing or a curse. And you're the one that has to decide, can you walk like Jesus, or walk like God? Because even today when we did the meditation, I think I finally got the meditation, because recognizing that we're breathing in God every time we breathe, that's what keeps us alive, right? And so to actually breathe them in, and to focus on the breath, and to say, Shamal, and then finally to release it and to say, listen, is a beautiful thing. So thank you for giving me that insight today. Blessings.
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you. Yeah. Let's see, Frank.
Yeah. Figured it out.
Yeah, it reminds me, if I look back on my life, and why did I make certain decisions? And it seems like sometimes it's cutting corners.
Mm,
Um, and the quote here is suggesting that by being more aware about our choices, it could be a blessing. But if you don't, then it will just take you longer to. Each time we do a shortcut, it strengthens that. And each time you make a good choice, it strengthens that. So
mm,
we do have choices. And the question is, what's our motivation? Uh, and in my case, why did I take a shortcut?
yeah.
Mm.
I don't know if you meant it this way, Frank, but I almost took from what you said something that really struck me, which is that even if we're not doing the right thing, if we're aware of it, that almost is itself a blessing. It's like if we're just doing it and we're oblivious,
Mhm.
but just being aware and having a level of awareness is
Mhm.
itself
Mhm.
a blessing. Because if we don't even know we're doing the wrong thing, then we have no hope of ever doing the right thing, right? So, and sometimes we do. I mean, we've all done that, in small ways, and unfortunately, sometimes in larger ways. So that
Mhm.
awareness is a pretty key piece. So thank you. Wendy.
That's really, really cool. This all segued into what I was going to say. Um, I think of it as a reminder of who I am in God's eyes and what God has given to me. And I'm grateful for that, because when I see that I've given you a blessing and a curse, choose, then I realize that the brain that I have to make that decision rests in God's hands. God's given me my brain. And so I'm responsible for that choice. And it's kind of a kind of like loving. God loves us and gives us this choice and gives us blessing and curse. I'm like, Frank, that was beautiful. A lot of times, you know, we well, I drift to the curse and then whoops. Yeah, that's good.
Thank you, Wendy. Paul.
Yeah, this is for me, it's been something that I've wrestled with, struggled with, in that oftentimes it's only after the fact that I realized that what I did was, I took the wrong road. I took the wrong fork in the road. And what I've been finding to be very helpful in my own practice of meditation is to, as you say, when we're having the opening meditation, to allow thoughts and other things come up and just let them go, notice them, but you don't try and do anything about them. And it's that practice of just becoming aware of the thoughts that I have that I didn't know I had, thoughts that I have that are just like, wow. I mean, and sometimes they happen so quickly, I don't even know that they happened. And I think that's the real challenge, because to then look back on what I did because I made the wrong choice when I didn't have the awareness within yet that I had made that choice. That is where a lot of shame can come in, because I should have known. And, I was never taught as a kid, well, if you meditate, that can help you, have some open space inside to really deal with that.
Your mom didn't know about it.
No, nobody knew about it back then.
Yeah.
So true.
But now I'm aware now that I can have these thoughts, and the more that I practice this of meditating, making that space available, I'm able to slow that. It's like having a film strip, or a bit of film that I keep slowing it down. It's like, when they're doing CSI stuff, they're trying to slow something down really, so you can see what exactly happened. That's what happens for me. And then I'm able to see it come into my consciousness, and then I am more aware of it, and I can make a choice. And I've had some times where that happened, where it was a choice, and it was incredibly uncomfortable to just sit with that choice, but it was the right choice.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Paul. And what you're making, I'm a big sports fan. What I was thinking about as you were talking was the way they talk about in a lot of sports, a rookie comes into the league, a rookie quarterback, and the game's too fast for them. And then they study some film and they get some experience, and then the game slows down. By like sort of doing this meditation practice, the game is slowing down for you, and you're noticing, that's cover two. And last time I didn't see that, and I made this wrong choice. So maybe and threw an interception. And today I'm going to try a different choice. Maybe it's a little uncomfortable, but it's so yeah, I see you're laughing. You agree. We like the analogy. It sort of works for me. Very good. Janet and Del, did you have your hand up at one point? Okay, well, we'll go with Janet, but I can always put it back up. And hello, Karen, welcome. So Janet.
As I approached my 82nd birthday this month, don't tell me I don't look it, I've heard that. I'm going to be 82.
Okay.
I'm aware that so many of the people that I've been with all my life are not here anymore. And I thought of that verse from Deuteronomy, two choices before you. And what's not in the quote that you gave is choose life. Reminded, well, I'm still here. I'm also reminded, life is temporary. I was in a group, a marriage group, or actually with some people who were struggling with their marriages. And one of the counselors said to one couple, well, you're together now. And I am here now. I am here now. I'm alive. So the question is, what am I going to do with that life? I mean, at 82, every day is a bonus. It's extra. So all I can do is put one foot in front of the other and work with the choices I have.
Wonderful. Thank you, Janet. Yeah, and one of the sayings from that we'll probably hear is and somewhere if you go to services on Yom Kippur is, there's a teaching that repent like you're going to die tomorrow. Live each day as if you're repent on the day before your death. Well, how do you know when you're going to die? So you have to treat each day as if it's your last day. Make those choices that are the most meaningful to you and are the most moral. Joanne.
Hi. I mean, I guess every Yom Kippur, this time of year, there's a lot of things I've done in the past of blown opportunities and regrets and this and that. And sometimes it's hard to let go of the fact that, I can't change that. And I can only deal with, what I choose to do today. And I try to be grateful also that I'm still alive and, I have choices of things I can do. To me, that's, it's not a curse to choose life. I think maybe it's a curse to not to choose life or to choose regret or I don't know, live in the past or
Yeah.
There's a lot of things. So I'm trying to be more present going forward, and doing what I can each day. But also trying to be kind to myself if I feel like overextended or overwhelmed, just to like, take a breath, I guess, and or be kinder. This is like I've gone as far as I can today, and now I'm going to rest and relax for the rest of the day, probably. And there's certain things I still push for, and I'm doing like Duolingo Hebrew on my phone, and there's certain readings I read every day, certain prayers I say every day, and I think gratitude is a big part of all of this, just being grateful that we have the opportunity to continue and maybe adjust what we're doing so we feel better about the way things are going with our own thought processes and interactions with people and life.
Yeah. Thank you, Joanne. I've also been thinking about like grudges that I've been holding on to and things in the past. And I reminded this one thing I learned in my grief counselor training is William Warden has these 5 tasks of grief. And one of them is accepting the reality of the loss. And I think that sometimes, maybe when I'm holding on to something and wishing I'd made another choice, it's not accepting the reality that I did make that choice. I can't go back and change it. And it's like the most famous example of not accepting the reality of the loss was the author Joan Didion wrote this book, A Year of Magical Thinking, where her husband died at the dinner table and she was convinced he was going to walk in the door again, and it was just like, and so, and many people experience that one way or another. So to me, this feels a little related to that, certainly in how I'm processing things. You know, Karen.
I don't remember exactly the quote that we're working off of, but as I listen to people talk here, I'm just reminded of the fact that when we make a choice with hindsight that we think is not the best choice, and there's sometimes that I've done that and I felt badly or I felt shame or something else, but not for long when I reframe it as a learning opportunity. And I think that the only real way for us to grow are to have learning opportunities along the way. Because if we get everything right all the time, like there's nothing that we have to work at and nothing we have to think about or figure out or learn from.
Yeah.
And so sometimes they feel like failures or embarrassments and something we really want to repent for. But a big part of that, I think, is reframing it as, okay, God gave us choices so that we have the opportunity to learn, that we have darkness so we can appreciate light, that we have sorrow at times so we can really appreciate joy. And here, that we have choices and we are not so perfect that with foresight, we can tell exactly which way to go, but we can learn. And making mistakes, if we learn from them, that actually is a positive for growth and moving us forward and maybe moving the world forward with us. So I just wanted to share that. Maybe that helps some people get out of a rut when they see choices as black and white and right or wrong.
Thank you, Karen. I love that. Love that connection to learning opportunities. Well, this was a wonderful kind of opening conversation, and I think really sets the stage for the next part. And I will say this is a bit of an experiment. I have not tried this before, so we shall see. I would say if you don't like it, please don't start screaming at me and calling me names, because then that's just going to be something else that you need to atone for on Yom Kippur. So neither one of us really wants that to happen. Do you have I sent out a worksheet with the email today with kind of the list of soul traits. Does everybody have that? Let me see if I can pop it into the chat. I think I can put it. All right, it is not letting me. Letting me put this into the chat. Well, it should be attached to the email that I sent out earlier. So, so the idea, what I did is I just took a couple of different versions of the al-chet, which is for the sin I have committed against you by. And then there is a list of like things by hard-heartedness, with an utterance of the lips. I just picked out a few that I thought might be kind of interesting. And so the question is, what's a soul trait that's connected to that? Either something on the list or something else. And it could be a soul trait that's out of balance that causes us to make that sin. And a chet to sin, it's also considered the sort of missing the mark. So if I got it wrong that time, it's not. So we want to try to distance ourselves from feelings of shame and remember to hang on to our self-love, and that, we have a God of forgiveness and kindness and compassion, for whatever your thoughts are about what the divine is or what it means. But this is certainly not intended to be let's use this as an opportunity to beat ourselves up. Let's use this as a learning opportunity to use the framework that Karen was suggesting. So does somebody want to pick one? Just pick one for the list, and then we'll kind of look at it, talk about it for a while, and then I have a couple other lists. Yes, Karen.
So I'll start with silence, which gives us the opportunity to think before we speak and intentionally or unintentionally say something that we may regret.
Great, wonderful. So that's probably responding to an utterance of the lips, I am guessing.
Yes.
Which could also be disrespect for parents or teachers if it's speech. But yeah, so silence, fantastic. Looks like Carrie is up next.
I was looking at hard-heartedness and the soul trait of enthusiasm.
Okay.
Too little enthusiasm leads to laziness and apathy. So therefore you can't be, oh no, wait a minute. That's not the one I wanted. Never mind. I got the wrong one. Loving kindness. I was looking for one with empathy. I guess loving kindness would be empathy versus, yeah, probably loving kindness.
Yeah, so maybe if we're having hard-heartedness, we're not having enough loving kindness, which is,
Right.
of course, chesed. This is part of our chesed Mussar cycle. Let's go a little bit more on this one, hard-heartedness. What else? What are some other traits that might be involved? If we're thinking, oh, I'm being a little hard-hearted about this, what might I practice? Or what might be out of balance? Karen.
That's an error. I need to put my hand up.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking about gratitude too, but yeah.
Other people have other anything.
Honor?
Yeah, Joanne.
I don't really feel so hard-hearted, but I think I might have mentioned this before that I get so many requests for donations, and I'm not even political ones, which are really out of control. So I erase most of them. But all these different organizations, and I get letters and I get calendars, and it's like these are all worthwhile causes, but it's like I'm overwhelmed. So I joined something called Daily Giving, which it kind of takes it out of my hand. It's like I decided I'm giving X number of dollars a month. And then when that organization feels like they have enough to pay for something that they have on their list, they use it. And then they send me a thank you every day, which I wish they wouldn't. Like, I don't need the thank you. I already decided, but so that's one thing that I sometimes feel guilty that am I hard-hearted because I don't give, and then they have all these things on TV with the starving children and the pets that are mistreated and
The puppies, yeah.
and it's so like heartbreaking and the voice of the person. Oh yeah, I can't stand it. But I think I said there was one organization said, we're not going to send you a calendar. So I said, great, that's the one I'm going to contribute to. And I also gave to the Red Cross because a friend of mine said, they're doing that because of the hurricanes and people have suffered so much with all this crazy weather and damage and death. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. And I will add, because there's this related to hard-heartedness, there's this Hebrew term, timtum halev, a stopped up heart. And the way that we combat that is through generosity, through giving. And so that's exactly what you're talking about. And I also heard you talking about practicing order. It's like it was too much, too much. It was chaos. So I'm gonna bring some order. I'm going to give to this other organization who I trust to pick worthy people. So, and maybe I won't get as many calendars, and that could help the environment. So that could be good too. We'll hear from Wendy and then from Karen.
Greg, does everybody still see the list? I don't see the list.
I put the list down.
Okay. I didn't get all of them. Yeah, you just said trust, and that's what I was going to say. With the only reason I would be hard-hearted would be because I didn't trust someone. So that I'd have to be working on that.
Okay. Great. Karen.
And as hard as I try to be non-judgmental most of the time, how easy is it to slip there? That's like my number one repentance on Yom Kippur is for any time I have been judgmental, intentionally, unintentionally, and maybe it hurts someone else's feelings. And so that correlates very closely with the soul trait of honor.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to put up, I think, the second list, and these ones just came right out of the Al-Chet. I used the Chabad translation for them. So there was a whole bunch of additional ones that were not part of the traditional list that were in Mishkan HaNefesh, which is the Siddur used by the Reform movement and was written by my now retired rabbi, Janet Martyr, and her husband, Shelley Martyr, and two others. So I am very partial to it and feel personally connected to it. So there was a section, reflecting on the harm I have done to myself through failure to care for my body, trying to meet my emotional needs in unhealthy ways, failure to manage my finances wisely, indulging in negative thinking, obsession, or self-denigration, closing myself off to others rather than reaching out. And there's a whole big long list. I just picked a few that I thought were interesting. But does anyone want to talk about one of these? What soul trait might this be related to?
Hmm. Hmm.
It's sort of, oh, okay. I see Shelley has raised her hand.
There we go. So I'm just going to go on the tail of Karen when she was talking about judgment. So when I look at that list, I see indulging in negative thinking and self-obsession and self-degradation, because really that is judgment. You're not only are you, I often say, when you judge something, you're really judging yourself, because inadvertently you're probably doing the same thing that you're making a notice about. And so, in regards to anything, I always, whenever I have any negative trait, I ask myself, well, where does this come from? What am I, hiding, or what do I not want to see about myself? Because that's what truly insight is all about, looking into yourself. And so, and then you realize, oh, it's maybe some self-worth, or, I'm just, I'm shaming myself, or whatever the reason that you're talking to yourself. But I mean, once you start recognizing the reasons why you're doing it, you kind of come to that memory to when maybe you experienced it as a child, or even subconsciously experienced it, you recognize that happened to me. It's not happening to me anymore. And I have a choice to keep on falling into the hole in the sidewalk and pulling myself up and learning something, or I can choose to go down the other sidewalk and have a new experience. And so, and I think that's where really choice comes in, is really asking ourselves, why are we not being our true, authentic self and being transparent? Why are we scared? Because
Yeah.
really that's what it kind of comes down to. There's a fear. People go, I don't have any fears. No, you do have a fear. If you have a reaction, that's a fight or flight reaction, and you're now rather shutting down, fight or flight, or you're going to say something, right? So ask,
Shelley.
why are you doing that? Sorry, that's it.
Yeah, no, that was wonderful. Thank you. So we have it probably looks like Carrie, since she's leaning forward.
I also was looking at fear and also order. Because if you are afraid of the first one of taking care of your body and your mind, you can be afraid of not doing it right, or just what am I thinking? I'm not thinking really well tonight. I just spent a week with my grandchildren, no sleep, and I was nanny 24/7. So I did not do any self-care this week.
Thank you, Carrie. That's where it's all good. We're so glad you're here. And
but also order. If your life is not in order, then you can't do a lot of the stuff that's on that list. You can't take care of your body and your mind. You can't take care of your finances and whatever else is on there.
yes, for sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so we have Wendy and then Karen.
Oh, well, I was just going to say that
Did you know
close myself off to others. Just like, okay, I jumped right out at me. That's again, it's like what Carrie says. There's a fear. There's a fear there. I'm unsure of them and I'm unsure of myself, which relates back to awe, because who am I trusting? And I become self-centered and cynical. You guys wouldn't know that because I'm happy all the time, but when I close off from someone is when I'm cynical and self-centered. And so the way around that, of course, is trust and building trust and loving kindness. It's like, go ahead and take that path. Trust, trust yourself, trust God, trust, and see what happens. And if it's wrong, like Paul says, we can always go back. Over.
We can do over.
Get another chance. Okay, Karen, and then Joanne, and then Del, did you have your hand up as well? We haven't heard from you yet today, so.
Yeah, I did, but I'm just I rather stand back.
Okay. Very good. Then Karen.
So I like the idea of connecting gratitude to this, which is that especially if I'm feeling hard on myself or not looking after myself the way maybe I should take better care of myself in different ways, I use gratitude either for the things that I can do, so I want to do them, or gratitude for what's around me and the way I view others tends to reframe my mindset. And in order for me to then get out and do and show thanks and gratitude for so much of the world that's good, I end up feeling more like taking care of myself so that I can participate. So that's a little bit of my roundabout connection where I looked at this and I just thought of the traits you had listed, what works. And I was like, gratitude is often what pulls me through when times are dark. And it doesn't have to be just for me. I can have it not be feeling well, but really want to boost somebody else. And somehow that helps to boost me.
Yeah. Thank you, Karen. And I really appreciate you sharing that. And I'll also lift up the way you said, gratitude is what I do. And these are all individual sort of choices and strategies, and we can be inspired by what someone else uses or the way they think about a soul trait. But for us, it might be really different, So it's not like these are all tools in the spiritual toolbox. And not everyone needs the same tool in the same circumstance. Joanne.
I don't even know what to say. I'm very interested in self-care of my body and mind. And I do a lot of things. I started doing Qigong this year because it's offered at the library. Very interesting. And it is about self-care, about paying attention to different parts of your body, to your breathing. And I just think, I don't know, I'm going to be rambling and I don't want to be rambling, but I just think it's really, really important. And I wrote something down somewhere, like, if you do not move, you will die. I mean, that's one of the things against, that's one of the curses or something like that. Because everybody has to move.
Yeah.
Every day, every part of your body that you're capable of doing. You just need to do. I'm sorry to give a lecture, but I'm doing it. Just move. Get off your keister and move. Whether you're walking or doing a breathing exercise, anything. Turn your head from left to right instead of not, staying at your computer all day in one position. And
thank you, Joanne.
It's stretch. I don't know. Okay, that's my advice. I'll stop.
Yeah, but it reminds me of, before I call on Karen again, one that I was looking at was this one that said, taking care of my emotional needs in unhealthy ways. And
Mm.
what I thought about, and it's kind of related to what Joanne was saying, is like that can be a reflection of either patience or enthusiasm kind of being out of
Mm.
balance. I can't hang in there to kind of find the more healthy. I need to just have this ice cream right now. I mean, just to use a really simple. And that's, not sort of being patient to be like, well, maybe if you take a walk instead, I need that enthusiasm to go out and take a walk or to move or sort of to, get going, get out of sort of a sluggishness about something which I'm not, and to generate some positivity or to generate just some action. So I think that's also a type of choice. Do we act? Do we wait? What do we choose to act upon? And that's very much tied into what Joanne was talking about. Like, you got to move, you know. Karen.
So tied into my gratitude, I just wanted to bring this up. I don't remember if I learned this in the last year or two from Alan Morenis or from you, Greg, or somebody else in our group, but it was the story of somebody who had escaped from the Holocaust and going forward, she spent a tremendous amount of time taking care of her feet and her legs because that's what was able to get her, through the woods and traveling for miles. And so there it was, maybe we're just exhausted, like we're not. There are times that I haven't like just felt like taking good care of something, right? And I go back to that story and I'm like, you know what? Whatever it is, if you need the manicure, you need to do something. Do it because of the story that this woman said. She's like, my feet and my legs carried me through. So, for instance, I was talking to somebody recently whose feet were really aching, and it brought this story to light. And I said, you know what? You're going to be on them for most all of your life. Your feet, your legs, they really support your body. And so you need to take care of them. So here we are being grateful for the fact that we can use them, that, not only am I taking care of them because I might be in a wheelchair, but they're actually working and I'm using them. So I need to be thankful for that and grateful and then take care of them. And I don't remember where I heard the story, but I remember that and that clicked with the gratitude with what I brought to the group today.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, well, we are at a choice point right now. We can either go into breakout rooms and there to just kind of talk about how this is sitting with you personally, how this might impact, your last sort of reflections. Or I have another category of sort of the harm I've done through my family and friends with like some more sort of things. So do people have a preference? Maybe who would just take a show of hands, who would prefer to kind of go to a breakout room and who would prefer to do another round of workshopping together? So who's into a breakout room?
I like prayer, right?
I like breakout.
So that's 4. And who would prefer staying together and workshopping another idea?
Yeah, I like it.
So, oh my God. Wow. Anybody who hasn't voted, who's off camera, want to weigh in? Well, we'll
I'm
do
not
it.
voting. I'm good either way.
It's a McCloquet.
We're going to do a quick round of one more thing, and then maybe we'll have a short breakout room. So this, so I put it in the chat, and I will also very quickly share. So maybe we'll just kind of pick one of these and hear from one or two people. So these are the harm I've done my family and friends through a failure to listen, to give time to sustaining relationships, intolerance of imperfection, intrusiveness, over-involvement, manipulation, stubbornness, failure to let go of grudges,
Mm.
which is something that came up. So does anyone, certainly someone maybe we haven't heard from today, you get to jump to the front of the line. Or I see Frank, I saw your hand, so we haven't heard from you much. What is standing out for you?
I forgot what the categories were, but I could state I I mentioned before that I serve on the Jewish Community Relations Council,
Hmm.
and there's some changes in the director there, and one of the things I've been kind of fretting about is that we don't know when we're going to be meeting next. And
Mm.
it's really, you know, and we have a group that's not expected to work.
Mm.
And so what happens is I get kind of, what's the word, impatient. And so I use some words about not knowing when it's going to be meeting, because the meetings were basically held on Wednesdays, but not the same week, and you didn't know. So it
Mm.
was really at the discretion of the directors and things like that. And the way I said it was not very kind,
Mm.
Mm.
at least to me. Um, and that has to do with not, I look at situations where it's kind of omission and commission.
Mm.
It's not a straight thing. It's life is often not a straight thing. But I want to own up my end of it.
Yes.
And that's the only end that I can own up. I cannot own up for somebody else. I've learned that a long time ago.
Yeah.
So this was recent, and so I'm trying to figure out making how to make amends. And I try to do it at a gathering of, uh, the other day at the Jewish Community Center where, we were kind of commemorating a year, remembering the grief we've been in under. And I tried to do it with one of the parties, and I wasn't very good at it.
Mm.
So it's things, this is difficult, but I feel it's really important when we are aware. So yeah.
Yes, I'm hearing like silence and that you chose to speak. I'm hearing enthusiasm that you chose to act. And it's hard. And sometimes we need like that extra oomph. Okay, well, I just need to do this.
Mm.
Dell, and then we'll hear from Carrie or Paul.
So I'm on the anti-Semitic committee of our shul, and over the past year, especially since October 7th, we've had many discussions, great maklovet. And there's one member, I just feel that in our discussions, I have shut down, condemned, and the end result is that he's notified the shul that he's leaving, and I
no.
feel really responsible for that. And I'm just I'm heartbroken.
Thank you, Dell. I'm listening with an open heart. Did you want to try to name kind of a soul trait that was kind of in play for you?
Well, I guess when I think of that el chet, the um, uh, the unwillingness to be open to his perspective and my own hard-heartedness. I just feel so brokenhearted over it.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Dell. And I'm happy to talk to you privately if you like.
Certainly.
Get into this a little more deeply. Carrie.
Yeah. My ongoing issue is failure to give my time and attention to sustaining important relationships. And those are friends that are across the country, not locally, that I start writing to, and then I drop off for months at a time. I just feel so badly because they make the effort to write beautiful letters to me. And part of me says, well, why don't they check and see if I'm still alive? But that's, that's just trying to make an excuse for myself. So the soul traits there are enthusiasm, gratitude, because I'm grateful for these friends, but they will not be very happy with me if I don't keep it up. And I'm sure order comes into it somewhere.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Too much patience leads to inaction and fatalistic attitude. I might be having too much patience for not writing a letter.
Yeah, well, it does sound a little fatalistic, that I'm going to lose this friend if I don't write back to them.
Yeah. So that's my thing. And I'm constantly struggling with that. Thank you.
Sure. I'm listening with an open heart. And my instinct is it's good that you identified order as something on there, is there, like, order can mean a lot of things, but one thing it just can mean sometimes just putting something on the calendar.
Yeah.
Yes, Carrie.
I even got an app to remind me to write and ask me if I'm on target, and I keep lying.
So truth is
Oh, I've got a long way to go on this. Thanks.
I can see you wrestling with it. Frank and then Joanne.
This is a quick one. I think what you just shared is that just like we should learn to have compassion on ourselves when we miss our mark. This may teach us to have compassion on others who miss theirs. Yeah, it's really an opportunity because it's, this is so open to, I mean, we know it in ourselves so much. So the idea is that if we misstep, uh, others can also. And so the question is basically, what are we going to do about it? Can we reach out and say, I'm misstepping? Can we do that?
Yeah. I love that, Frank. Yeah, that's something I was thinking about for our closing today. Joanne, did I see your hand as well?
Yeah, it just reminded me that I have two girlfriends we all lived in Park Slope in the 80s, and we've kept in touch on and off, and been trying for, like since the spring to make a date to get together, and it's too hot, and it's this and that. And the last communication I got from the one is like, oh, by the way, I'm leaving for San Francisco for a few months. It's like, so we're not going to see her, and she doesn't live. I mean, it was a very difficult train ride. We did go visit her at one point, but it's hard for me because I don't have a car, and if I can't get easily somewhere by not Amtrak, but Metro North, something like that, it's just becomes impossible. So trying not to have a grudge about this, but when I get off, I spoke to another friend, called me, so I'm going to try and make the plan that I really wanted to do, which was go to the Botanic Garden, Bronx Botanical Garden, that has a Alice in Wonderland themed exhibit that may be over already, or it's going to be over soon. So maybe Monday I'll go meet my cousin there. But
Nice.
it's just like, it's like I was upset that, and it's like I really have wanted to do this since the spring, and it just hasn't. You know, the day I wanted to go, really wanted to go, the weather was still nice, and then it turned hot and miserable. So it just never worked out.
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens.
Yeah, but it can be sad and really disappointing when it does.
Mhm.
Okay, Shelley.
Yes.
I'm going to be quick. I just got to respond to Frank because he asked, he said, when do we start doing it? How do we do it? So I had a situation the other day where I was doing something that I knew was wrong, and my son kind of caught me, but I denied it totally. It's like, cut him down, or don't you have to go in the house and do dishes, you know? And then I sat down and I went, whoa, because I'm aware of myself when I do these things. And I don't go, okay, next time I won't. I ask myself, what the hell was that? Why did you do that? Why did you have fear? You know, are you afraid that, you know, by him knowing the truth, that he's going to look less than you? And so then I went, Shelley, if you believe that, that he's going to think that, that's what you believe. And that's not what you believe. You love yourself. And, you know, it's truly to be transparent. So I called him outside and I said, hey, you got me. And I said, I was doing that. And we ended up having a beautiful conversation where we were truthful and we were sharing. And, you know, really when it comes down to it, you know, when we speak a truth to somebody, it's scary for the first time. But then the next time you do it and you go, oh, that wasn't so hard. So, I mean, you know, you got to take that chance. You got to take that chance to be transparent and not be afraid.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, there is, thank you so much, and truth and transparency and speaking. And I think the ideal that I'll leave us with, and it's what I talked about in my sermon, is, you know, is the apology. It's like reaching out to people, and it's hard. And you know, it could be reaching out to say, hey, I'm a little upset with you about this, or hey, you know, maybe this was a really small thing and you didn't notice, but I noticed it and I want to apologize and I won't do that again. And maybe it's a bigger thing and it's something that's really breaking our heart, how we acted. And that's part of, you know, for me, that's where sometimes I just fall back on the tradition. You know, it's kind of like, I don't want to do this, but that's the tradition. That is what I am supposed to do. And that can actually give me the oomph to reach out, you know, and millions of Jews and Jewish curious people and Jewish allies and Jewish, you know, seekers of Jewish wisdom, you know, just they're doing these things. And so it's like, all right, I have to do my part. You know, I just have to do this. And could be an uncomfortable conversation. It could be a beautiful conversation. Our fear, our Yetzer Hara, tries to keep us from doing it by putting up all kinds of fears and things like that. And, you know, Shelley's beautiful story is like, hey, wait a minute, you know, I'm not going to let my fears control me. It's like I used to say to my kids who'd suffered from some anxiety and in high school, I'm like, anxiety is not a reason not to do something. It's like if you really want to do it and you're feeling too anxious to do it, you know, let's find the way for you to do it because we can't let our lives be run by that. Certainly not at your age. So let's all just take a moment and close our eyes. And let's come back to the gratitude for this community, for this legacy of wisdom that we have an opportunity to be a part of. That we have an opportunity to participate in. These souls who chose to share this time with us today. Now we'll just take a few moments of silence. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes.